Good day, and welcome to today's session. I pray everybody is doing absolutely well. And for those who don't know what this word here means, it is shalom. Okay, it's a Jewish word, Hebrew word, which means peace be upon you, peace to you, shalom, shalom. So I wanted to start today's session by welcoming every single person into the session. I pray everyone is doing extremely mightily well. I pray everybody's had all of the things they need in order to succeed and to get them here onto today's session so that we can jump right in to all of the value we have in store for you. Now, for those of you who are brand new to what we're doing here, I want to first and foremost welcome you. I want to welcome you to this environment where we help people move further faster in their future utilizing property as a key. Utilizing property as a key. So if it's your first time here, what I'd love for you to do is let us know in the chat. Give us a welcome in the chat. Say hello in the chat. Let us know that you're here for the first time. We've got Mrs. I Can Win in the chat. She says, let's go. Let's literally go. So guys, I want to say first and foremost a great big welcome to every single person who's decided to rock up into today's session, and I want to encourage you that today's session is going to be extremely exciteful. So before we even go into what we're covering in today's class, what I'd love to do is actually start to share with you what we shared in our previous class as well, so that you guys can get a full insight into what we're going to be doing in today's session, right? So for those of you who don't know, in our, let me see if I can get this up here. I should be able to. Awesome. There we go. In our last week's class, what we spoke about was the widow's oil. We were talking about how to generate maximum returns from minimum investments. I'm going to say that again. We were speaking in our last session about how to generate maximum returns from minimum investments, and we used the widow's oil in 2 Kings chapter 4, specifically verses 3 and 4, to really highlight this and show you guys from a biblical perspective. Now, that was very, very enlightening, and the reason it was enlightening is because it should have helped you see exactly how things can change for you. It should have helped you see how you could take minimal investments and literally make maximum returns. And as I was preparing for today's session, what my reflections on last week's session actually had me thinking about was one of our previous cash flow creation students, okay? So this previous cash flow creation student, who I'm gonna give a little shout out to today, I don't think she's in today's session, and I don't think she's in this specific group, all right? So this is a little bit of a weird one, because I'm gonna be shouting her out even though she's not here, okay? And her name is Chantel. So let's get the round of applause up for Chantel first and foremost. All right, now the reason why I've got this big resounding round of applause for Chantel is because Chantel literally was in a predicament before she joined our cash flow creation experience, where she had her last £800. Someone throw in the chat the word £800, okay? And I remember having a conversation with her and her saying to me, look, Samuel, this is the predicament I'm in. I've got £800 to my name. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how to move further faster, right? And the thing that was interesting about Chantel's predicament is at the time she had plans to move out of her house. At the time she had so many things she wanted to do. She wanted to get into property and she wanted to become a property investor and become full-time in property. But her biggest challenge was she only had that £800, right? So she asked me, what do I think she should do? And I'm going to be very transparent. I said to her, listen, I don't even know if I can tell you what I think you should do. I don't even know if I should be allowed to tell you what I think you should do, because it's your last £800 and most people would say, Samuel, you're crazy. But this is what I advised her to do. I advised Chantel to join us on the upcoming cash flow creation week that we had. And I said to her, look, it's going to be a serious investment. I said, if you're going to come as a general participant, it's going to at least cost you £247, because that's how much we charge. And those of you who've ever done the 5-day challenge, you can just put the number 5 in the chat. So that would symbolize in the chat that you've done the 5-day cash flow creation week before. And you guys will know why we charge £247 for the general participants. But I then said to her, but look, if you really want to deep dive with your last £800, all right? Someone throw in the chat, last £800. I said to her, what you should actually do is join as a VIP. And I said, if you join as a VIP, what will happen is throughout the whole cash flow creation week, you will have exclusive access to ask me any questions that you have about your property investment journey, about the things that you're learning throughout the week, etc., etc. And that will give you so much insight. I see 5 in the chat, right? And that will give you so much insight. And I encouraged her to do that. And guess what she did, right? She took the leap. And this is the reason why I want to literally give those round of applause for Chantel, because not only did she take the leap and join our Cash Flow Creation Week, but now, I literally was speaking to her earlier on this week, right? Now Chantel has moved out of her house, out of her mom and pop's place, okay? She's been able to get so much different experiences in property, not just in terms of what she was learning from the 5 days, not just in terms of what she's going to execute in the 5 days, but also through means of now shifting her whole career into property. I think that just deserves another round of applause. So Chantel is literally winning. Okay, she's literally winning, but she's not winning by accident. She's winning on purpose. And this is my deepest hope for every single one of you guys who are tuning in to these sessions and learning about these principles for property. Because there's one thing to know the principles, it's a whole nother thing to execute those principles. So guys, if you are on today's session and you're ready to jump right into what I'm going to be training you guys on, we're going to be speaking specifically today. Let me get the slide up today so I can show you exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Because in today's session, what we're actually going to be covering is one of my favorite topics. We're going to be covering stewardship in property. We're going to be speaking about how to manage God's blessings. Now, those of you who read the Bible, you will know there's a verse in the Bible that says, the blessings of the Lord, they make rich and they add no sorrow with them. Which means that when you receive something, a blessing from God, guess what? It's going to empower you. It's going to equip you. It's going to be good to you, and it's not going to add sorrow with it. All right, so I'm going to encourage you guys, those of you who are with us today, to tune in, have your notepad, iPad, tablet, stylus, pen, paper, and everything you need in order to succeed so you can be ready to go throughout today's session. Because as we talk about stewardship in property, as we talk about managing God's blessings, there are going to be multiple keys here. The keys I'm going to be sharing with you in today's session are the keys which are going to help you if you're the kind of person who said to yourself, the Bible has nothing to do with what I do in property. Today's session is literally going to shift your mind. So before we jump in, I want you guys to make a commitment, and that commitment is to act upon what you learn. Because it doesn't matter how good the information I provide for you is if you don't allow that information to create transformation. So if you are making that commitment today to act upon what I'm going to be teaching you, to act upon what you learn, I just want you to write in the chat the word ACT, A-C-T, ACT. And that's how you're going to symbolize your commitment to act upon what you're going to learn. And as long as you make that commitment, guess what's going to happen? Everything is going to happen for you. So without further ado, let's jump straight into today's session, and let me start breaking down exactly what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be taking a passage in today's session, and the passage we're going to be taking is from 1 Peter. I'll write this out straight away. 1 Peter, we're going to be going to chapter 4, and I want to key in on one verse, but we're going to read verse 9 to 10. Okay, we'll read a couple verses because I want you guys to really get a clear insight into what we're going to be doing. So 1 Peter chapter 4, and I'm going to be reading verse 9 to 10. Okay, and if it's not big enough, there you go, guys, so you can see it. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 to 10. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to start breaking this down and showing you a specific system that can help you move further faster in your property investment journey. And then after I show you that system, I'm then going to start pulling out aspects of this system that relate specifically, uniquely to your and my property investment journey. Now, the beautiful thing about that is both of us, we will now, after understanding the specific system I'm going to be sharing with you, will have a better understanding of how to take advantage in the property market and how to be those winners literally moving forward. So if you want to win, just throw in the chat the word win, W-I-N, so I know I'm speaking to the right people. Without further ado, let's go. 1 Peter chapter 4, I'm reading verse 9 and verse 10. It says, use hospitality. Okay, use hospitality. Listen to this, guys. Listen to how deep this goes. It says, use hospitality one to another without grudging. Okay, use hospitality. I mean, I wasn't planning to do this, but I'm going to do this because I'm literally getting excited as I'm reading this, just thinking about how relevant this is to every single one of us, right? So I'm going to break this down. It says use hospitality. Okay, this means this is a key resource for you and I. To be hospitable, to show up, to serve people is actually of value to other people. I'm going to say that one more time. To be hospitable, to show up, to add value to people, to be hospitable is an actual value, a resource that you and I have at our disposal. All right. So it says use hospitality. We're being encouraged to use something, and it's hospitality. But watch this. It says one to another without grudging. So it literally tells us who we're supposed to use hospitality for, one to another. And it also says how we're not supposed to use hospitality. It says without grudging. Okay, this is all key information for where we're going later. Hopefully you're going to take heed to all of this. Now listen to verse 10. It says, as every man hath received the gift, so minister the same one to another. So it's telling you that part of this hospitality we're encouraged to use is literally the gift we have actually being ministered, actually being served to another person. Oh, if someone's getting something, just put in the chat, I am. Let's go deeper. It says, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God, right? So I'm going to break this down. And guys, those of you who know me, you know this, all right? I'm going to share this with you. Here's my disclaimer, okay? I am not a pastor, all right? I'm not a pastor, right? I'm not a theologian. I don't have a theology degree, okay? I want to say this. I'm a normal human being who reads the Bible to discover principles that could be of value to me and potentially to the other people that listen to me as well. That's who I am, guys. So I want you to understand, this isn't some hidden gem that no one can find. This was in the Bible, as my coach, Dr. Myron Golden, would always say, this was in the Bible when I woke up this morning. So let me go deeper. So it says use hospitality. It then tells us what hospitality is. It says it's the use of the gift you have to other people being ministered, being served, okay? So here's the thing that's beautiful. From verse 9, what we realize is it says, if we use hospitality, watch this, it's because it shows us something that most people don't realize, right? 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9, it says, use hospitality one to another. Now, you may not have seen this, but guess what that is? That is a cycle. Okay, that's a cycle. This is one person. Let's give this example. One person, okay, using hospitality to another person. And then another person, let's make this a female, okay, using hospitality to another person. And this becomes what we call a virtuous cycle. Now, most people don't understand this, right? Use hospitality one to another. This is what we're being encouraged. This is what we're being instructed to do. Okay, and then it says, without grudging. Okay, so we're going to get rid of grudging. It goes on to say in verse 10, as every man hath received a gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Now, how is this relevant to people in property? How is this relevant to you and I? Okay, so I'm going to start breaking that down. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 to 10. And then from there, I'm going to start pulling out the applications we can use in property, and then I'll open it up for us to take our question for the week, right? So here's what I want you to see first and foremost. I'm gonna get super granular with this because I want you guys to see this super in 3D, right? What this tells us is that there's literally what I call the system. Went too small. There is the system of stewardship. That's what we're learning here. This is what most people are going to bypass. They're going to read 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 to 10 and bypass, miss this whole ecosystem, this whole equilibrium that we're being spoken of, right? Now, I need you to catch this system because this system is going to be the key when I start pulling it out for you and me, how this works to property, right? So let's go. There's the system of stewardship. What is that system? I'm so glad you asked. It is articulated so beautifully in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 to 10, and most people miss it. Watch this. That system is this, right? And guys, remember, I'm not a Picasso, okay? I'm not a Picasso. I'm just doing my best with what I got. Let's go, right? So this is a hand, okay? That's a hand. Now, you guys can guess what this is, okay? You can tell me, hey, Samuel, I guess that is a, you can tell me, okay? All right, this is another hand, okay? And these two hands, which are out like this, let me do this, make this make more sense. These two hands that are out like this may receive a gift. Okay, now for the sake of this illustration, the gift they're receiving is a property. The gift we're receiving is a property. The gift I receive is a property. The gift you receive is a property, right? So what happens is we receive gifts, or let's call them blessings, okay? Because we're talking about how to manage God's blessings, right? So the thing I want you guys to understand is it all starts with the receipt of a blessing. I'm going to say that one more time. It all starts with the receipt of a blessing, okay? The system of stewardship starts with what you've received. It says the way you've received the gift, minister, serve that gift to other people. Well, hold on a minute. If I'm serving that gift to other people, I go from having the gift to utilizing the gift in some way, shape, or form. Now, how are we supposed to utilize the gift, and what way, shape, or form are we supposed to utilize it? I'm so glad you asked. We are supposed to utilize that gift. I'm going to show you right here. Hopefully you guys are going to catch this, right? We're supposed to utilize that gift by managing it appropriately. Okay, this is the key. The key is you don't just get a gift, okay? Just like cogs in a wheel, as I'm illustrating here, you don't just get a gift and say, oh, I've got a gift. No, what you do is you start to manage that gift appropriately. And the key to managing appropriately, I'm going to share this with you from a biblical perspective, is managing wisely. Okay, so that means you don't squander resources. You invest resources. Those of you who are with me on the last week's session, or those of you who watch the replay, you can write in the chat, #replay gang. We literally spoke last week about how you can use minimum investment to create maximum returns. How do you do that? By managing wisely. Everything I taught you in last week's session fits inside in the stewardship system. It fits inside of managing wisely. So you're supposed to manage wisely the resources that you have, okay? We got Andre in the house. Andre, welcome to the session, okay? So guys, I want you to understand how this works. We literally are supposed to be wise with what we've been given. So everyone who listened to last week's session where I spoke to you guys about how you use the widow's oil, the system that we were given in 2 Kings chapter 4, how you use that effectively in order to take minimum investments and create maximum returns. That all fits in managing wisely, all right? And if someone's getting value from this, if someone's seeing stuff that they haven't seen before, you might as well just share this video with someone else, okay? Because that is receiving a blessing, receiving a gift. Hey, Samuel's breaking down some real key elements here that I didn't think about before, and then you start managing it wisely. Hey, I'm going to share this, I'm going to distribute this, I'm going to give this to other people, okay? Now that's the application in terms of learning and training and development, right? But the same thing operates in terms of property. I receive a blessing. You know what? I just bought a house. I just inherited that house. Someone gave me a house. Me and my co-pilot, we went and bought a house. Me and my spouse, we went and bought a house. You receive a blessing, but then you shift into managing wisely. If someone understands what I'm talking about, just write in the chat, me, so I know I'm talking to the right group of people today. So we receive blessings in this system of stewardship, then we start to manage wisely, okay? And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right? Don't expect more blessings when you don't do the right thing with your existing blessings. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you haven't got one, get yourself a pen. I want you to hear this. Don't expect more blessings if you don't do the right thing with your existing blessings. And this is one of the reasons why I'd say, hey guys, if you're getting value from this, I see me in the chat. If you're getting value from this, share it with someone else. Hit that little share icon on the video. Why? Because you are going to be managing the blessing wisely because you understand it's a blessing to receive. Hopefully someone's catching this. Let's go deeper. So you start managing wisely. Now here's the beautiful thing about managing wisely. Okay, the comments are popping off now, right? Here's the beautiful thing about managing wisely. Okay, I see value in the chat. Let's go. If you are managing wisely, something amazing happens, okay? One of my favorite things happen, right? And this should be one of your favorite things. If you've experienced it enough, guess what it's going to be? It's going to be one of your favorite things. Let me tell you what happens when you start managing wisely, okay? And this happens, here's the thing, which is so powerful. This kind of almost happens automatically. This kind of almost happens automatically. I'm going to say it again because I want you to hear this. This kind of almost happens automatically, what I'm about to explain, okay? If you manage wisely, like I said, don't expect more blessings if you don't do the right thing with the blessings that you already have, okay? So what I'm about to explain kind of happens automatically, the same way that if you don't take care, if you don't manage your blessings wisely, if you don't manage those properties wisely, guess what happens? Automatically, everything goes to pot, right? So let me explain exactly how this works, right? So what happens automatically if you start managing your blessings wisely? This is so beautiful, right? Because I love the way this happens, right? Let's get some fruit on here, right? Let's get some fruit on here. What happens when you start managing wisely? What happens when you recognize you've received the blessing? What happens when you put yourself in a position where you say, you know what, I didn't have to get value from that live. I could have joined that live, and guess what? There could have been nothing shared that was helpful for me. There could have been nothing shared that actually helped me move further faster. But you know what? Everything Samuel said was practical. Everything Samuel said could be utilized right now. Guess what happens, right? You receive a blessing, you manage it wisely, and then you have growth of assets. You have growth of assets. It happens automatically. Your assets grow automatically. Let me just write that as grow assets, right? Your assets grow automatically. How do your assets grow automatically? The reason your assets grow automatically is because you have actually managed the blessings you received wisely. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Some people don't have assets growing automatically, right? Automatic growth. Why do some people not have automatic growth? It's got nothing to do with the growth. It's got everything to do with the managing. They don't manage the blessing, so they can't receive more assets. Okay? If someone's understanding this, just put in the chat, I do, so I know I'm talking to you. Let's go, right? So here's a beautiful thing. You start managing wisely the blessings you receive, and that puts you in a place where your assets begin to grow. Now that your assets are growing, something phenomenal happens, okay? And this is if you're willing to allow it to happen. Some people don't allow this to happen. I'm going to encourage you to allow it to happen. Something beautiful happens, right? And I'm going to zoom in super big because I want this to be super clear, right? Something amazing happens when you start to actually do exactly what we're talking about here. This is what happens, okay? And you guys can tell me what I'm drawing again if you guys get it, okay? Let's make them more circular. I think that way they'll look more like what we're trying to go for here. Let's go. Okay, so you guys can see that's another hand, right? Another two sets of hands, right? But now what's in these hands is something different. Now what's in these hands? Okay, let's do this. Let's make this work. Now what's in these hands? It might start like this. It might start with coins. Okay, you guys are catching this right now. Okay, it might start with coins. Okay, and I'm trying to be quick, so this is why this drawing is not coming out like the usual Picasso drawing, but you know what this is, guys. Okay, but even though it starts with coins, at some point it will elevate. It will elevate to your pounds, to your dollars, to your yen. Okay, it will elevate to that, right? It will elevate to notes. It will elevate to greater amounts of wealth, okay? So what's actually happening here? Samuel, what are you saying? What is this system of stewardship that you're describing, Samuel? It's very simple, okay? It's very simple. It's a four-step process, this simple system of stewardship. The system of stewardship starts with you receiving a blessing and recognizing it's a blessing. Now, the moment you receive a blessing and recognize it's a blessing, guess what? You get yourself the opportunity to do something that no one else can do. I see those hands on the screen. Somebody tapped into the emojis. Somebody knows what's happening here. All right. And for those of you who don't know, we have a live emoji wall, right? So anyone who throws emojis in the chat, it literally comes on the screen. Okay. And I think Andre has 100% got it. She used the term outstretched hands. She's got it. You know what? I'm putting that on the screen. Let's go. Because that is the key right here. Andre, thank you. She's touched it. Outstretched hands. So this is what happens in the system of stewardship. You receive blessings. You manage them wisely. You start to grow your assets, which allow you to get to this stage right here. Now, this is my favorite stage, okay? Why? Because when you've got growing assets, you get to give back. Okay? You get to give back. Now, I want to say this because I want this to be super clear, right? When I say give back, I'm not talking about back to the people who gave to you. When I say give back, I'm talking about giving back to the ecosystem that God allowed you to get from in the first place. Okay? So whilst you're here on this natural earth, there are people who need to eat food. Guess what? You can give something to them. You know, there's people in your family who are waiting for you to get that breakthrough so they can have a breakthrough vicariously. Guess what? You'll be able to give to them. You get to give back. Oh, if someone's excited about this, just write in the chat, I am. If someone's excited about this, just write in the chat, I am. Guys, I want you to understand how profound this is, what I'm sharing with you today. This is the key to your success. The system of stewardship. And I'm sorry if nobody's ever told you this before, but I'm here to tell you, if you do not tap into the system of stewardship, everything is no longer going to work for you. You're going to be in a position where you're saying to yourself, why aren't things working the way I want them to be working? Why aren't I getting to where I want to be getting to? I see that I am in the chat. Why am I not getting to where I want to be getting to? I'm going to tell you why. Because the system of stewardship is not being worked appropriately. Let's go deeper. So, like I said, when we spoke about 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 to 10, hospitality is all about one to another, giving one to another. It creates a virtuous cycle. But the reason this cycle is powerful is because this is what the cycle actually looks like. It looks like receiving blessings, managing them wisely, your assets growing so you can give back, okay? You can give back into the same ecosystem that you were able to receive from. Now, some of you are tuning into this saying, Samuel, this is profound, okay? Let me write it here, grow assets, okay? Some of you are literally tuning into this and saying, Samuel, this is profound. I never ever thought of this like this. I've never seen this like this. I never believed this could be like this, okay? I never thought there was a connection between the Bible and actually winning in property, actually winning with managing the blessings that I've received, winning with the things I've got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you even more. I'm going to start breaking down some of the principles that relate specifically to property that are embedded in this ecosystem. Okay, so I spoke to you guys about managing wisely. Let me give you one key, perfect example of managing wisely in your property game. Okay, it's ethical tenant relations. Okay, or relationships. Okay, let's write relationships just for the sake of clarity. Okay, ethical tenant relationships. What are ethical tenant relationships? Ethical tenant relationships is where you are not favoring, like one of the things I've done over the years is I've had multiple HMO properties that I've managed, right? Now, when you have a HMO property, you have 6 tenants sometimes. In some of those properties, we've had 8 tenants in one house. And guess what? If you don't have ethical tenant relationships, you can favor 1 or 2 tenants over other tenants and make a very lopsided house. Ethical tenant relationships are crucial in managing wisely. It's being fair. It's not trying to have partiality and treating certain tenants better than other tenants. Ethical tenant relationships. If someone's getting it, just write in the chat, I get it. So I know I'm with the right people. Okay? Let's go deeper. You need to also engage. I'd encourage you to engage. Let me not say you need to. You don't need to if you don't want to. But if you act, like I said at the start of this session, you're going to get the most out of this system of stewardship. Okay? So the next thing is to have responsible. Okay, and I feel like I even need to just stop here when I use the word responsible, because so many people will hear responsible and not understand what I'm talking about. Responsible means you leading the charge, not waiting for someone else to do it. You recognizing, you know what, I need support, I need help, or I need to do this, I'm going to do this, and taking the charge. What do you need to do? I would encourage everyone to do responsible improvements and maintenance. You see, those of you who are based in the UK who are tuned into this, or those of you who are based in the UK watching this on a replay, you're going to know about what I mean when I use the term Grenfell Towers, okay? Now, Grenfell Towers was a tragedy that took place, and probably everyone in the world should have heard about it, but Grenfell Towers was a tragedy that took place. Now, why did it take place? Part of the reason it took place is because there was not responsible improvements and maintenance taken place on that block, on that building. Hope you guys are seeing what I'm talking about. Now, you may not have a whole Grenfell Towers, multiple units, multiple floors. You may only have 1, 2, 3, or 4 doors. But the point is, regardless of what is yours, you have to. I would encourage you to engage in responsible improvements and maintenance. This is part of managing wisely. Managing your portfolio wisely, managing your properties wisely is saying to yourself, I understand that there are improvements, there is maintenance that I should be making sure is happening regardless of whether the tenant is saying to me, oh, Samuel, can you do this, please? Regardless of whether the tenant is saying, hey, Andre, could you do this, please? Regardless of whether the tenant is saying, hey, Robbie, could you do this, please? Guys, we have to understand that managing wisely includes, with property, responsible improvements and maintenance. Let's go deeper, right? I'll give you one more here before we go to one of the other areas, and then we'll start breaking down and go into our question for today's session, okay? I see I get it in the chat. I'm loving this, right? The next thing is sustainable. Now, here's the problem with many people, right? most people want to do something good that only lasts for a day. You should be thinking about doing things that are sustainable. Okay, sustainable means it's going to outlive you. So we're talking about sustainable and community friendly. You want to do sustainable and community friendly initiatives, right? Let's write the word practices, okay? You want to build a portfolio which is engaging in sustainable and community friendly practices. This is also going to be part of you managing wisely. This is also going to be part of you saying, you know what, I understand I have a responsibility, a social and ethical responsibility to my tenants, to the property assets I'm managing. So because of that, I'm going to engage in sustainable and community-friendly practices, okay? Now, the beautiful thing about this is most people who get into property are those people who've got a heart for things of transformation. You know, many of the people I've met who are interested in property, they say, you know what, Sammy, I just love taking this house that doesn't look like anything and turning it into something special, okay? So most people who get into property already innately inside of their heart are interested in beautifying things that are not beautiful. I'm just encouraging you to make sure you make that part of your managing wisely process to have sustainable and community friendly practices. All right, now, they're free for managing wisely. I'm going to stop there for that. And let's look at the giving back process, okay? Because this is a part that I know most people are very interested in. Most people want to make money to give back, from my knowledge, okay? Now, if you're one of those people who just want to make money so you can sit down like what they call, I think it's a fat cat, they call a fat Cheshire cat. Guys, this is not the environment for you. This group is not for you. These videos are not for you. These lives are not for you. These principles for property are not for you. But if you're one of those people, who I believe you are, who are focused on being able to generate wealth. The Bible says the wealth of the wicked is stored for the just. Who's interested in generating wealth for the greater purpose of humanity, then this is the place to be. And I'm so glad you've come and met me. So let's go deeper. Now, when we talk about giving back, we're talking about specifically balancing your profit, the income you generate, okay, with your social responsibility. Okay? Now, if you're joining us on YouTube, you may not know that we have a Facebook group called Impact Investing. It's a massive group, over 600 members in the group. Why do we have the Impact Investing group? Because of what Impact Investing stands for, what Impact Investing means. It means you generate revenue for the greater of good. And this is why it's so important to understand giving back is not just about creating profit, it's about balancing the profit, balancing that exact profit with your social responsibility. Your social responsibility as a parent, your social responsibility as a leader, your social responsibility to the community that you're a part of. Okay? I want you guys to get this. If you guys are getting it, just write in the chat, I get it, so I know you guys are catching this, all right? Now, let's talk about the growing assets part, because this is, again, I said it's one of my favorite parts. Okay, it's one of my favorite parts, and I'm just going to give you one principle here, and then we're going to go into questions, because I'm actually mindful that I'm running over time, because I'm trying to enjoy myself as I literally teach you guys this stuff. Now, here's the principle I want to share with you. Good stewardship. Good stewardship, okay, which is what we're talking about in today's session. For those of you who are paying attention, it leads to, okay. It leads to, and this goes back to what I was talking about how this becomes automatic. So for those of you who've been thinking to yourself, you know what, the Bible can't have anything to say about property and investment and success and growth. Guys, I'm here to tell you, good stewardship, Bible-based stewardship, exactly as we've described, exactly as we've articulated today, 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 and 10, good stewardship leads to sustainable cash flow. Okay? And I know nobody has probably ever told you that. But here's the beautiful thing. There's more. It leads to sustainable cash flow, but it also leads to one other thing, which is like a good friend to every single person who wants to generate sustainable cash flow. It leads to sustainable cash flow and community impact. So if you're someone who's tuned into today's session and you're saying to yourself, Samuel, my desire, what I require is to be a person who can actually have a sustainable cash flow and create a community impact, I'm here to tell you that your key is good stewardship. I'm here to tell you that when you tap into good stewardship, you'll be setting yourself up for the greatest success that you could ever have. So with that being said, guys, it's about time that we open up the opportunity for our questions in today's session. All right, we're going to open up the opportunity for our questions in today's session. So this questions, let me get the questions up that the team have prepared for today's session, and I'm going to allow you guys to vote on which question you want me to answer. Right, so the first question is A, how can I take good care of the properties I own without stress? Okay, if that's the question you want us to answer, throw A in the chat. Question B, what are some nice things I can do for the people who live in my properties? Okay, that's question B. Question C is, how can I use the money I make from my properties to help make my community better? They're the three questions. Guys, what I want you to do, wherever you're watching this, whether you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to literally choose, vote for your question, A, B, or C in the chat. If you're watching this in the group in Facebook, vote for your question, A, B, or C in the chat. And if you're watching this anywhere or everywhere else, feel free to, again, throw in the comments, A, B, or C, which question you desire us to answer. And I'll give you guys a few moments as we literally get prepared to decide which question you guys want us to answer. And then straight after we do that, we're going to answer that question, and we will, I think we'll call it a wrap, right? So guys, the poll is waiting for you guys. Throw in the chat A, B, or C, whichever one you want us to answer. A, B, or C, whichever one you want us to answer. I'm going to read those questions to you again. I'm going to be reading the questions to you again, okay? I'm going to read the questions to you again. The first question, question A, how can I take good care of the properties I own without stress? Okay, I see the votes starting to come in. How can I take good care of the properties that I own without stress? B, what are some nice things I can do for the people who live in my properties? Those of you who want question B, throw B in the chat. And C, how can I use the money I take from my properties to help make my community better? That's question C. For those of you who want me to answer question C, throw C in the chat. Now, it looks like 100% of the votes now are currently on A. So that's what we're going to answer. We're going to answer question A. And then straight after we answer question A, we are going to jump further into today's session. All right. So straight after we answer question A, we're going to jump further into today's session. So question A, the question is, how can I take good care of the properties I own without stress? That is an absolutely fantastic question. All right. And for those of you who voted on that, I believe you voted on a very, very wise question to ask. And here's the actual answer to that question. You have to do exactly what I spoke about in today's session. I spoke to you guys today about using the system of stewardship, okay? But what's embedded in the ideology that I gave you guys using the system of stewardship is an assumption. It's an assumption that you understand the power of systems, okay? And most people in our society don't understand the power of systems. Why? Because systems are not taught in school. In school, we're taught to read a line of information and then to have regurgitation. We're not taught to operate systems, okay? So the Bible teaches us to operate systems. I'll give you an example. One of the verses in the Bible says, give and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men sow into your bosom. What is that? That's a system. The system says, find assets, find ground that's worthy to give. And when you do give, guess what? You get back way more than you gave, right? And those of you who were tuned into last week's session where we spoke about the widow's oil, how to get maximum returns from minimum investment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was a system, okay? Give and it shall be given unto you is a system. Now, one of the beautiful things about the things in the Bible is everything that's spoken about in the Bible shows up in nature. So if you don't believe the Bible, that's fine. You can still see it in nature. So I'll give you an example. A seed, like I shared last week, if you eat your seed, then you will live a life of greed. But if you plant your seed will give you everything you need. Okay, that was one of the things I shared. I paraphrased it quickly today, but that was one of the things I shared in last week's session. Now, why is that important? It's important because it's the evidence, again, that you need to use a system. That's a system. I plant my seed and then I end up getting everything I need, right? I find good ground where I can place and embed and invest my seed. Why? Because it gives me back everything I need. Now, why is this so profound? Why is this so powerful? The reason this is so profound and the reason this is so powerful, coming to the answer to the question, how do I take care of my properties without stress, is you have to start using systems. The reason why so many people in property are bogged down with drama, are stressed out, running about, fixing taps and leaky faucets is because they do not have a system. They don't have systems in place. They don't know what they're doing in order to overcome the challenges they face, all right? So I'm going to encourage you guys, if you're tuned into today's session, take full advantage of all of the insights I've given you guys. Like I said at the start of the session, make a commitment to act, ACT, act. Make a commitment to act. And guys, what I want to ask you to do right now, if you got value from today's session, I want you to share in the chat what your key takeaway has been so far. What has been your key takeaway so far? Because next week, what we're going to be talking about next week is literally going to be an amazing session. Next week, we're going to be talking about building your property arc. That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Next week, I said tomorrow, literally next week, right? Not tomorrow, guys. I got a session with some of my students tomorrow. But next week, we're going to be talking about build your property arc. This is going to be a session that you do not want to miss. Next week at 3 p.m., build your property arc. We are going to be showing you guys what I call the Noah strategy, how you build an arc for property in the current climate. And I want to assure you, if you haven't tuned into any of these sessions, next week's session is a session you want to tune in, and you want to tune in live. If you got friends and family, you want to tell them, listen guys, tune in to the Impact Investing group, tune in to this YouTube video. Samuel's going to go live 3 p.m. next week, Wednesday. He's going to be breaking down how to build your property arc. Guys, I'm telling you, that is one you do not want to miss. So next week, we're going to be live for those of you who are with us. Now, last but not least, if you would like to learn more, if you'd like to deeper dive into the things that I've been sharing inside of today's session, we have not even touched the tip of the iceberg, all right? We have not even touched the tip of the iceberg of the science of cash flow creation, of the systems of cash flow creation, of the sequences of cash flow creation that are available to you and I. But we will be doing that in our next up and coming cash flow creation week. So for those of you who are interested, you can see right here on the screen, barcode is there, feel free to scan it. Website is there, feel free to take it, or check the description of this video and literally get yourself onto our next up and coming cash flow creation challenge. Whether you're someone who's brand new to property saying, Samuel, I'm just starting out, I don't know what to do, or whether you're someone who's ready to scale. You might even be someone who's done some of our training before, but you're saying to yourself, you know what, Samuel, I need to reignite my momentum. I need to be around the people that I know fire me up for the right purpose. Then I'm going to encourage you to get into the next cash flow creation challenge. And the way you do that is literally scanning that barcode and going to get all of the information to learn more that you need in order for you to succeed. So with that being said, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing this value with you and teaching you guys the system of stewardship so you will be able to manage God's blessings effectively. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the top and not from the top. Good day, God bless, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. See you guys.